And
I
here's
said
the apostles
I said
testifying that
that
he
you
died
guys
outside the grave.
gospel, the gossip of man, not the words of man. They're words of man. They're gossip. It's called gospels for a reason.
Yeah, gospel just means good news.
Oh, good news. Okay,
You
so tell me,
unbelieve.
can he be unalived outside or inside Jerusalem? Which one?
No,
Which one is it?
okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at that. I'm going to show you how you fail on the lexical.
Just read it. Just
Okay,
read it.
I am, but I'm going to show you how you fail on the lexical level. I'm glad you brought that up. So this is verse 33 of chapter 13, folks. It says, "Yet it is necessary that I travel today, tomorrow, and the next day, because it is not possible for a prophet to perish outside of Jerusalem." So when we look at the word exile, right, its semantic range includes two things. One is without something. Give me a second.
So was he unalived outside of Jerusalem or in Jerusalem?
No, hang on, hang on. Just be quiet. Just be quiet. So it's exo is the Greek word. It has two meanings. One is without something, and the other one is outside of something. So when Jesus says it is not it cannot be that a prophet perish outside of Jerusalem, he said without Jerusalem. Where was Jesus judged and condemned to death?
In Golgotha, Calvary.
No. Where was he condemned to death? Where was he judged? Where was his trial?
The Romans, right?
Right. Where did that take place?
I don't know the exact place, but it was on Roman land.
In Jerusalem, right?
Go ahead.
So what Jesus said is true. It cannot be that a prophet perish out of Jerusalem.
Really, bro? That's what we're going to go with?
Yeah, you can look it up yourself. So go to BibleHub.com, look up the word exile, right? Two semantic ranges. One is outside of, and the other one is without.
And what about exalted? What does that mean? Raised
What do you
up?
mean? In what passage?
We have exalted him up to the heavens.
Okay, so what are you talking about? Ephesians?
Raised up. He was raised up.
Okay, by who? What you need to book, chapter, and verse. This is a theological discussion.
No worries.
Okay. All right, Mufasa. So go ahead.
I'd like to ask a question, please, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm trying to get back to Paul being superior than Muhammad.
Okay, I just want to go to Acts 21.
Okay.
Acts 21, verse 20 to 26, where Paul goes to Jerusalem and he meets up with Peter, James and Peter. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then James come up. They come up and ask Paul. They come and ask Paul that we've been hearing that you're going around telling the Jews that they no longer have to follow the law, and there are Jews who have come to Christ who are still zealous for the law. To show them that you're not preaching this. To show them that you're not preaching this. Go with these four men, shave your head, take a Nazarene vow, and make an offering.
Right.
And pretty much make a offering. Mm-hmm. Now, my question is if Jesus has fulfilled the law, why is James and Peter telling Paul to go follow the law?
Okay, so how are they getting him to follow the law?
But you're saying, but Paul's preaching that you no longer have to follow the law.
Okay, it doesn't matter. But hang on, bro. Hang on. Okay. It doesn't. First of all, the issue is prior to Paul. Your problem is not with Paul. Paul is just doing what the prophet said, right? The prophet said that the new covenant, the Brit Hadashah, will not be like the one he made with Moses. It's right there. Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 31 and 32. You guys don't get that. You don't understand it. So here Jesus inaugurates the new covenant, which it's explicitly stated is not like the one he made with Moses, right? Paul testifies that he was called by Christ, not only him, but the other apostles, to be ministers of a new covenant, which is not like the old one. You guys are saying, well,
but taking the vow,
because he didn't teach the law.
But taking the vow is still following the old law.
No, it's not. Where does the Torah command someone to take the
number
two.
Answer the
question. Answer
okay,
the question. Where does the law command anybody to take the Nazirite vow?
Well, it's right in that verse to show them that you're not teaching.
It is
to show them that you're not teaching it. To show them that you're not teaching. To show them that you're not teaching. Is go do this. To show them that you're still under the
listen
law.
to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying to you.
No, and number two, I want to add to that. Is that he makes an offering.
Okay. So once again, where does the law command Jewish men to take the Nazirite law?
Isn't that what they're doing? Isn't that them doing the Nazirite vow?
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna ask you one more time. If you don't answer the question, I'm gonna drop you. Where does
because I want to get to the last bit of it.
Where does the Torah command man to take the Nazirite vow?
I want to get to the last bit of it, and that
no. We're gonna stay here and
the offering wasn't Jesus the offering.
Okay.
Wasn't he the sacrificial?
Oh my gosh, man. All right. So anyway, let me finish it up, folks. The Nazirite vow was an optional vow that you could take as a person under the law. So what James and the apostles asked Paul to do was not based off of an apodictic law. There was no law that says thou shalt partake of the Nazirite vow once or twice or three times a year. No, it was an option if you wanted to take a vow. That's what Paul did. That vow also, bro, don't overtalk me. I've already had it up to here with you guys because we can't get to how Muhammad is superior than Paul. Because we're bogged down in all this other stuff because you guys know that you're functioning from a knowledge deficit and your Quran is inferior to the Bible. Okay? So I got to get that. I'm going to clear that up. Paul was not partaking of an apodictic law. He was nowhere commanded to partake of a Nazirite law. That's why he says in chapter 9 of 1 Corinthians, to the Jew, I became a Jew. It's known in theology as the accommodation theory, right? My goal is to proclaim the gospel. That's why he had Timothy circumcised. Even though circumcision isn't commanded, we're going to circumcise him so that it doesn't become an obstacle to us proclaiming the gospel. That's why, because you'll probably bring that up next. All right, so let's move on. And the other problem you have is Surah 3, Ayah 50, where it emphatically states that Isa changed the law. Why are you blaming Paul? He's just doing the same thing your Isa ibn Maryam did. He made lawful for the Israelites that which was before unlawful for them.
Law, brother.
What's that?
We uphold the Abrahamic law.
No, you don't. No, you don't. How come the Quran nowhere mentions circumcision? Why did Muhammad eat camel and rabbits when they're mentioned in the same prohibited food list that pigs are? Why do you guys eat shellfish and fish that have no scales? All of those things are condemned by the law. But anyway, let's move on. Number one, we're still talking about how Paul is greater than
Because
Muhammad.
Paul went against Jesus, tried to change
No,
his
he
own laws,
didn't.
his own laws. Yes, he did.
Can I
No, he
say
didn't.
something? Because I gotta
Name
drop
one.
down.
Name one law that he went against.
So when he's ordered that, whether you're Jew or and between the Jews and Gentiles, and for the Gentiles he says one thing: oh, you don't have to circumcise anymore. The laws have changed. But to the Jews he says, yeah, you still have to circumcise.
All right. So remember, folks, they brought up chapter 21 of Acts about Paul. So I'm going to read it, and we're going to put to test what he just said. So watch this. Verse 20, it says, when they heard it, mods could. When they heard it, they glorified God and said, you see, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are who have believed, and they are all zealous for the Torah. But they have been informed about you that you are teaching all the Jews who are among the Gentiles to abandon Moses, telling them not to circumcise their children or to live according to our customs. Remember, the problem wasn't that he wasn't teaching circumcision to the Gentiles, is that he was teaching that to the Jews. So what is to be done? They will certainly hear that you've come. Therefore, do what we tell you. We have 4 men who have made a vow. Take these men, purify yourself along with them, pay for them to get their head shaved. Then everyone will know that what they were told about you amounts to nothing, but that you yourself are also careful about observing the Torah. With regard, this is James talking, with regard to the Gentiles who have believed, we have written a letter containing our decision that they should keep themselves from food sacrificed to idols, from blood, from what is strangled, and from sexual immorality. So the conclusion that they came to about the Gentiles in chapter 15 at the first church council, James affirms it again, saying that when it comes to the Gentiles, they're not obligated to keep the Torah. They're not under the Torah. Oh, he left. Good. It'll be much quieter. Mufasa.
Okay. Submission, and let me say something. So, are you trying to say if you're a Jew and a Christian, you have to follow the law, but if you're a Gentile Christian, you don't have to follow the law?
What I'm saying is nobody is justified by keeping the law. However, if you are a traditional
Didn't Jesus say you have to keep the law?
What's that?
Didn't Jesus say you have to keep the law?
No. Where did he say that?
I think in Corinthians 11:1, be ye followers of me, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you.
Did you say Jesus or Paul?
I'm saying Jesus. Didn't Jesus follow the laws? Didn't he say you should keep the laws?
No, Jesus proclaimed the gospel of the kingdom. He didn't teach the law. He came to fulfill the law.
Didn't he say you should keep the law as he himself kept the law?
Where did he say that?
I mentioned just now to you, First Corinthians.
That's Corinthians.
11:1.
That's Paul.
And he's mentioning Jesus, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances, I deliver them to you.
All right. So did you guys understand what he's saying?
If you continue in my word, then
he's saying when Paul says
ye my disciples
keeping
indeed.
the ordinances, he thinks it's Jesus said that.
Okay. So anyway, let's let's go.
Jesus
remember, folks. Remember, we got to start before Paul, right? That's why I tried to go to Jeremiah, 6 centuries before Paul, okay, or Jesus or Mary, right? We already know from the prophet that there's going to be a new covenant, and that new covenant's not going to be like the one he made with Moses. So why would we expect anybody who was a minister, a prophet, or an apostle, or a teacher, or a pastor, or an evangelist to be teaching the law? That would be contrary to the new covenant, which was inaugurated by Jesus in Luke 22:20. Right? So Jesus says himself, pay very close attention to this. Luke 16:16. The law, the Torah, Vehanavim, and the prophets were until John the Baptist. The law and the prophets were until John. Since then, the gospel of the kingdom of God has been proclaimed. When John came on the scene, that was a change of dispensation. Well, we know exactly when John came on the scene when we go to Luke chapter 3. In verse 1 and 2 of Luke chapter 3, verses 1 and 2, it says, in the 15th year, look how specific this is. In the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, while Pontius Pilate was governor of Judea, Herod was tetrarch of Galilee, his brother Philip tetrarch of the region of Iturea and Trachonitis, and Lysanias tetrarch of Abilene. During the high priesthood of Annas and Caiaphas, God's word came to John, the son of Zechariah, in the wilderness. When Jesus said the law and the prophets were until John, this is what he was talking about. John was a change in dispensation. Now we're proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom, not the law and not the prophets. All of this transitional stuff happens before Paul. So all of those lies that Islam teaches about Paul, how he changed stuff, it changed before he was called by Christ. The change was prophesied centuries, over half a millennium before he was even born, or before Christ entered into the flesh.
Can you give me the reference from the Old Testament for this, that the law was changed?
Chapter, it wasn't changed. I said transition.
Well,
Jeremiah.
transition, change, obsolete.
Jeremiah 31:31.
Jeremiah 31:31.
Yeah, Jeremiah 3:16. Oh, that one's tough right there. Jeremiah 3:16.